Nikola Tesla and Liberty Street.
Part 3. Boiling inside at having been anticipated by a newcomer. The perspicacious Professor Elihu Thomson stepped forward, wanting to re-establish that his work in AC predated Tesla's. Thomson pointed out how their inventions differed. I have been very much interested in the description given by Mr. Tesla of this new and admirable little motor, he managed with a pert smile.
I, as probably you may be aware, worked in somewhat similar directions, and towards the attainment of similar ends.
The trials which I have made have been by the use of a single alternating current circuit, not a double alternating circuit, a single circuit supplying a motor constructed to utilize the alternation and produce rotation.
Unbeknown to Thomson, his words at that moment would come back to haunt him, because he had identified precisely the difference between the two creations.
Whereas Thomson's single AC circuit had to still make use of a commutator and thus was highly inefficient, Tesla's system utilized two or more circuits out of phase with each other and constructed in such a way as to make the commutator obsolete. Tesla, of course, recognized the importance of Thomson's words and reiterated the point to establish clearly that his invention, just presented, was not analogous to Thomson's prior work. Gentlemen, Tesla began, I wish to say that the testimony of such a man as Professor Thomson flatters me very much.
Pausing with a smile and a bow of recognition, Tesla timed his Kudi GRC with understated finesse. I had a motor identically the same as that of Professor Thomson, but I was anticipated by him. That peculiar motor represents the disadvantage that a pair of brushes, i.e. a commutator, must be employed. In this brief repast, Tesla claimed the high ground and created an enemy who would fight him on this and other priority issues, for example, the Tesla coil, for the rest of their lives. Now, Westinghouse had to move fast.
He realized the value of the Tesla patent applications, having had nearly a month to look them over, along with the report from Professor Anthony.
A week after the lecture, on May 21st, he sent Col Henry Bilsby to Tesla's laboratory. Bilsby met with fellow engineer Alfred Brown on Cortlandt Street, where he was introduced to Charles Peck, the lawyer and major financial backer of the Tesla Electric Company.
Together with a fourth man, Mr. Humbert, they went over to Liberty Street to meet the inventor and see the machines in operation. Mr. Tesla struck me as being a straightforward, enthusiastic sort of a party, Bilsby wrote to Westinghouse, but his description was not of a nature which IWA enabled entirely to comprehend. However, I say several points which I think are of interest. In the first place, as near as I can get at it, the underlying principle of this motor is the principle which Mr. Schallenberger is at work on at the present moment. The motors, as far as I can judge, are axes.
They start from rest, and the reversion of the direction of rotation is suddenly accomplished without any short-circuiting. In order to avoid giving the impression that the matter was one which excited my curiosity, and made my visit short. Back at Cortlandt Street, Brown and Peck informed Bilsby that he had to make a decision by 10 o'clock, Friday of this week, as the company was also negotiating with a Mr. Butterworth from San Francisco.
They claimed that Professor Anthony had joined this California syndicate and was backing up Butterworth's offer of $250,000 in short-term notes and a royalty of $2.5 per watt of horsepower.
I told them the terms were monstrous, Bilsby said, but they replied that they could not possibly hold the matter over longer than the date mentioned. I told them I thought there was no possibility of our considering the matter seriously, but that I would let them know before Friday. Bilsby suggested that Westinghouse come to New York himself or send Schallenberger and another representative, but Westinghouse, who was familiar with the San Francisco syndicate, told Bilsby instead to stall them and try to secure more favorable terms. During the 6-week interim, Westinghouse conferred with his SB sciolists Oliver Schallenberger and William Stanley, and his lawyer E. Militus Kerr. Just 3 weeks prior to Tesla's lecture, Schallenberger had discovered by chance that a loose spring spun in a shifting magnetic field. Directly, he said to his assistant Stilwell, who was also present, "There's a meter in that, and perhaps a motor."
Within 2 weeks, he designed and built a most successful alternating current meter of the induction type, which became standard for the field, and, like Tesla's creation, his apparatus utilized a rotating magnetic field.
Schallenberger, however, did not yet really understand the principles involved, nor had he had time to apply for a patent. Stanley, on the other hand, claimed that there was nothing new in Tesla's creation. He pointed out that in September 1883, he had put the idea down in a notebook that an induction coil could be excited by AC. I have built an AC system on basically the same principle, which allows electromotive force to be transmitted from power stations to homes for the purpose of illuminating them, he told Westinghouse.
But the fact of the matter was, Stanley's system still used a commutator.
His ego had gotten in the way of his ability to reason objectively that his scheme was not analogous to Tesla's. Kerr reminded Westinghouse that unless he had a competing patent of sufficient strength, he would be powerless.
Westinghouse was aware that Professor Ferraris of Turin, Italy, had published a paper on the rotating magnetic field 1 or 2 months prior to Tesla's lecture.
Ferraris had also constructed discs that rotated in AC fields in university presentations as early as 1885.
Tesla willingly admitted that Professor Ferraris not only came independently to the same theoretical results, but in a manner identical almost to the smallest detail. But Ferraris wrongly concluded that an apparatus founded upon this principle cannot be of any commercial importance as a motor. Nevertheless, Kerr realized the legal importance of Ferraris' work.
He suggested to Westinghouse that they purchase the US patent options, so Pantaleone was sent to Italy.
He paid 5,000 francs, or about $1,000, for the rights. But time was running out. The Tesla people would not wait forever.
Westinghouse wrote Kerr, "I have been thinking over this motor question very considerably, and am of the opinion that if Tesla has a number of applications pending in the patent office, he will be able to cover broadly the apparatus that Schallenberger was experimenting with, and that Stanley thought he had invented.
It is more than likely that he will be able to carry his date of invention back sufficient time to seriously interfere with Ferraris, and that our investment there will probably prove a bad one. If the Tesla patents are broad enough to control the alternating motor business, then the Westinghouse Electric Company cannot afford to have others own the patents."
Concerning the sticky point of royalties, which the Tesla syndicate placed at the audacious figure of $2.5 per watt, Westinghouse wrote, "The price seems rather high. But if it is the only method for operating a motor by the alternating current, and if it is applicable to streetcar work, we can unquestionably easily get from the users of the apparatus whatever tax is put upon it by the inventors."
Thus, in no uncertain terms, Westinghouse writes here the portentous statement that royalty payments could be passed on to customers, a concept he would be forced later to conveniently overlook.